Memphis, Tennessee, home of Elvis Presley, Graceland, the burial place of Elvis Presley. Sun Studios, Johnny Cash. Memphis has a lot of history. I didn't set out to create my own history. Set out to catch some fish, cause some trouble. The idea was to end up in Memphis, Tennessee.
I'll be brought down in Tennessee.
Been through Boise, Salt Lake, wow, Cheyenne, all the way across Wyoming, Topeka, Jefferson City, Lincoln, Nebraska, Des Moines. Been a lot of places. Robbed a few banks. I guess that's where I should start. Let me read you something from my journal. Now, if this woman had just taken her pills that morning, she'd still be here today. I didn't want to do what I did, but she left me no choice. After I walked into the bank, a woman with some sort of psychological problem interrupted my usual act of filling out a withdrawal slip and making a note in the signature space. She was standing by the security guard whining about her lost book. She was being rather loud and was a very good distraction for the security guard, but the tellers all were watching her and not doing business as usual. Up until this day, I never carried a weapon. Uncle Steve and myself said that no one was ever to be hurt during any of our heists. This town was small, but big enough to get away unnoticed. The population may have been about 10,000 people. There was a large concrete company on the outskirts of town, and after doing a little research, we found that this company was doing business with the state of Colorado and had accounts with Colorado National Bank. This was where we found ourselves, out in the parking lot. Uncle Steve was sitting in our newly pilfered Dodge Stratus. He was a very good driver. He could drive through obstacles that for myself were unsurpassable. He could drive fast with absolutely no fear. Amazingly enough, until his 53rd birthday, he had never driven a car. Had never even owned one. My uncle could see me through the northward-facing window of the bank, so I used my normal hand signal to let him know there was a disturbance and that I was a bit uncomfortable with the scene. I scratched my nose and rubbed my left eye. Uncle Steve fumbled around and then briefly turned on the windshield wipers, which meant in this case, you'd better carry it out. He couldn't see or hear the woman carrying on about her book. I think she may have missed her daily dose of lithium. The woman was being very loud, and most of the tellers had given up on helping their customers, except for one. This teller had guts. I only say this because she had no idea what was about to happen to her, while the security guard and this lithium-needing psycho distracted every other teller. It was my turn to make a withdrawal. The police were not there yet, and the woman was getting louder and louder. The teller, Angie, was very apologetic about the disturbance and asked if she could help me. Well, I said, I need to make a rather large withdrawal today. Angie looked at me with very inquisitive eyes and as if I was guilty and innocent at the same time. A bit curious, I guess. Angie, being from a small town like this, was certainly not used to strangers and had probably never been robbed before. After handing Angie a withdrawal slip, I opened the breast of my coat and showed her my weapon. We both smiled at each other. She looked at me as if she were excited about it. She wasted no time getting the money in a bank carrier envelope and gave it to me with no hesitation. I got the feeling she was on my side. I think she may have wanted this to happen. Having done this twice before in Boise and Payette, Idaho, I was sure she was on my side. The tellers in those banks were scared shitless. The situation was something I could only dream about or watch in a Quentin Tarantino movie. She handed me a small bag and told me to get going. She said, "Thanks for your business, and we look forward to serving you again." By now, the security guard had escorted the mental case outside and had returned to his usual post. She walked straight over to the Stratus my uncle was sitting in and began to ask him for her book. By now, I was only about 10 feet from the car and could hear the conversation. She was bent over next to the passenger side with her head inserted into the window. I'd left the window rolled down so I could jump through it if we needed to get away quickly. Right about then, a police car pulled into the parking lot. Officer Thompson jumped out of the passenger seat and headed straight for our stolen car. As he walked up to the car, he said, Tracy, are you looking for your book again? Tracy, I thought. This bitch's name is Tracy, and this cop knows her. The cop asked if she was disturbing me. I told him that we were merely trying to get on with our trip to Memphis and that she was just a small speed bump in our path. Right at that moment, Tracy pulled a handgun from her blouse and pointed it at the cop. She stuck that gun right in his ear. The cop couldn't do a thing. He was terrorized. He asked her to put the gun down. His partner had walked into the bank for whatever reason and was out of the picture. She was looking the cop right in the face and probably couldn't see me showing Officer Thompson my little .22 I had hidden in my jacket. Tracy told Officer Thompson,
"Keep your fucking mouth shut. If you say another word, I'll blaze your sorry ass."
Well, Officer Thompson was in a real blunder at this moment. He knew that only I could save his life, and he would have to give me the okay before I would do it. I'm not sure if the blink meant to do it or don't do it, but I hate to see an innocent person get killed. So I shot the psycho right in the ear. Officer Thompson stood there with a glazed expression, probably just like me. He'd obviously never been in that position before, and did not know what procedural operation he had missed when executing his call to this disturbance. I guess these types of situations can only arise from being involved in illegal activities. This didn't happen to any of the other dimwits sitting in their cars in the parking lot. We managed to get out of that situation with money and a good relationship with the local police. We did have to stay a couple days for questioning and such, but in the end, I had taken and saved a life with one shot.
Well, then
I wrote that September 4th, 2006. Not too bad. We made it to Memphis. Uncle Steve got his blue suede shoes. Got to look at Sun Studios. Got to rob a couple banks. I'd say it wasn't too bad of a trip.